All righty. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our second session for today of our local zone CFC Awards Training. My name is Antonia Gonzalez, and I am your Central and Southern Area Director. So I cover the Heart of the Midlands, Heartland, Gateway, Oklahoma, North Texas, Texas Gulf Coast, and South Central Texas CFC zones. So pretty much South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, and Kansas, Oklahoma, and then the entire state of Texas. I'm going to go ahead and allow Bruce to introduce himself and the territory that he covers.
Hi, everybody. Bruce Jacobs here, and I cover the Alaska, Cascadia, Pacific Northwest, Mountain States, and Desert Southwest zones. It's a lot of the states in the western part of the U.S. except for California and Hawaii. And I will kick it over to Shell. Can you hear it?
Yes.
Maybe. Okay, this time you can hear. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Hello, I'm Shell President. I am your Northern Area Director, and I have Northern Lights, Midwestern, Michigan, ICSO, and Ohio. And I'll go ahead and kick it off to Michelle.
Hey everybody, I'm your Eastern Area Director. I have the Southeast Tri-State Zone, which is Northern Florida, Southern Georgia, and Alabama. I have the Mississippi Delta, Gulf Coastal Plain Zone, which is Mississippi and Arkansas, Louisiana, and Greater Tennessee Valley, which is exactly like it sounds, the Greater Tennessee Valley, and Western Pennsylvania and West Virginia. And you'll notice I dropped in the chat all of our names with the areas we cover in case any of you are not sure who you need to go to if you have any questions. So you'll find that in the chat. And Antonia, back to you.
Thank you so much, Michelle. So for all of you on today, hopefully you've met one of us if we are your area director. If you have not, welcome. It is nice to meet each and every one of you all. So as Michelle said, if you guys have any questions as we're going through the training, please feel free to put them in the chat, or you have our email addresses there. You can reach out to us at any point in time to ask us any additional questions that you may have. You also do have your local account managers. Some of them are on the session with us today. And so if you are in contact with them, of course, you can always reach out to them as well with any questions that you may have. But today we're talking about recognizing all of you and the work that you are doing this campaign season. And, we know that this is not your number one priority during CFC season. You all have a full-time regular job, and this is an additional duty that you all have gratefully, thankfully taken on to help support the campaign and promote the CFC throughout this year. So one of the most important things that OPM and CFC feel is necessary is that each and every one of you all are recognized for that extra effort that you're putting in. So what we are talking about is that local zone awards program. So there are local awards that we will be doing. It'll be by zone. It's for the work that you're doing locally. And then there's a national awards program. So as we kind of talk through what this program looks like, so many of you all who submit nominations and are recognized for local awards, you also will potentially be picked out to be represented nationally through the Office of CFC and OPM. So just kind of keep that in mind as we go through this. There are two individual programs. There's local and then national. So ideally, we're going to have some of you who all are going to be receiving national nominations and national awards as well. So we'll go ahead and get started here today. And if you have any questions as we're going through any of this information, please feel free to put it in the chat or raise your hand and we'll unmute you so you can ask your question if you'd like to ask it verbally, or we can answer your question in the chat as well. So please feel free to ask any questions as they come up. So again, what this is for, this is to recognize any CFC campaign worker. A campaign worker, you could be a LFCC member who oversees the CFC in your zone. You could be a loaned executive who is loaned from your federal agency to actually work the campaign on a full-time or part-time basis. You could be a campaign coordinator who is the main person responsible for managing the CFC within your agency, or even a key worker who is one of many who are helping to support the effort of promoting the campaign at your agency. So there's various roles and various people who are doing all of the work that it takes to actually promote the campaign. So as we kind of go through the process, we're going to talk about the submission process, what that looks like, what the categories look like, what the various awards are. Each of the submissions are going to be recognized by agency size. So there's small, medium, large size agencies. We do not want to pit one small individual Social Security office against a major military installation, because of course, they're not equal. So there are various size categories. And then we're going to talk about the different different types of awards that there are available in order for you all to be recognized this year. So what you need to do in order to qualify for an award is all the things that you're already doing. Continue doing all of those things. Continue hosting your events. Continue having charities come out and speak about the CFC, having your leadership attend your sessions, supporting your events, supporting the campaign as a whole, sending out those regular messages that we are emailing to you on a weekly basis, having us come out and speak or speak virtually for you, and then just having those individual one-on-one conversations, making the ask to each and every one of your colleagues. So just continue doing what it is that you're already doing. So again, as I mentioned, the agency size categories, small, medium, large. A small agency is going to be an agency, an office that has maybe 1 to 49 employees. Medium is going to be 50 to 199 employees, and then a large agency is going to be any agency or office that has 200 plus. So those are the categories that you will fall under. Each award category, there will be potentially 3 winners for each category, because there will be a winner for each agency size. So again, 3 winners for each category. Other than the regular awards we have over the top, we have the All for One awards, and those are going to recognize the agency as a whole for the efforts that they've been putting in. And that's going to be based on pledge totals or participation rate. So once all of the nominations come through and the data is pulled for these data-driven awards, everything is compiled and submitted over to the awards committee, which is federal employees who oversee the CFC in your zone, and they will be reviewing all of the nominations that are received and selecting who those winners are for each category and for each agency size. Okay, do we have any questions at this point?
I think we're good so far, Antonia.
All right, perfect. So I want to touch on what those automatic awards are. And the automatic awards, as I said, are data-driven awards. These are specifically about the numbers. So the first one is the over-the-top award. Over the top means basically you raised more, your federal agency raised more in pledges than you did the prior year. So if you raised even $1 more in 2024 than your agency raised in 2023, then you qualify for the over-the-top award. So the bronze category is going to be any agency who raised up to 25% more than they raised the prior year. Silver is any agency that raised 26 to 50% more than the prior year. And then the gold is any agency who raised 50% or greater than they did the prior year. And then the other data-driven award is the All for One, and that is on participation rate. And those are for the agencies that have the highest participation rate increase. And so if you had maybe 2% of your federal workforce for your office participated in 2023, and this year you have 5% of your offices participating, then that's a 3% increase. And so it's going to be those agencies that have the largest increase in their participation rate. And so again, these are all based on data and the information received. So one of the pieces of information we're going to ask from you in these nominations this year is an employee count. So that's one piece of information that we really need you to complete for us when you're submitting your information, is how many employees are in your office that you're responsible for. If it is an estimated number, there might be 302 employees and you give us 300, that is absolutely fine. But we need to have employee numbers in order to make sure that we are computing this data correctly for you. So I am going to go ahead and hand it off to Bruce now, who's going to talk about individual and your nominations.
Thank you, Antonia. So let's talk about the individual award that we offer is called the Superhero Award. And there is, again, one per size category, so small, medium, or large. So every zone will have 3 superhero awards as long as we get at least 3 nominations, that is, in each category. What we're looking for the superhero award is people who have gone over and above the normal CFC coordinator duties to do extra and innovative things for their campaign. We're also looking for any challenges that you might have needed to overcome along the way. Anything you did to inspire volunteerism, and especially things that were, like I said, new or creative. I helped, or maybe you developed some new processes or techniques or innovative ways to reach out to people and make contact. So think about all the things that you did in the campaign to generate enthusiasm, whether it was events, whether it was ways of contacting people, marketing techniques, or especially anything new or different. Those are the things that we want to recognize you for. So that's our superhero award category. Now, we will be sending you in early January a simple nomination form that you can fill out to nominate either yourself or someone on your campaign team for the Superhero Award. And as you're doing that, we recommend that you focus on results. So start with, in fact, there's going to be different categories in the form to fill out. One of those is the results category. So start with, concrete numbers if possible. Like we raised $8,000 this year, and that was $3,000 more than we raised last year, and that represents a 60% increase. So those are the kind of numbers that we're looking for. Or you could also talk about your goal. We had a goal of raising $10,000, and our goal was already 20% higher than last year, and we ended up raising $11,000. So talk in terms of your goal as well, and then talk about the events that you had, and don't just list the events, but talk about how many charities came, what was the overall attendance at each one of those events. So rather than just saying we hosted 5 events, tell us what they were, what you did, what was interesting about them, who attended, how many. We're looking for, as much as possible, concrete details. Now, what we're not looking for is a long, wordy write-up. You don't want to do that. We don't want to read it, frankly. It is just fine to use bullet points in these award nominations. So just list the things that you did and what is, be specific, be concrete. In this example here at the bottom, it's not a great idea to say, Sally had a fabulous attitude and her infectious energy inspired everyone. That tells us that Sally is a great, nice person that people like, but it's a little light on the details. So a better way to do it would be to express how she had an infectious attitude and inspired everyone by, for example, making homemade personalized event invitations and handing them out individually to people throughout the office, things like that. So the more specific and concrete you can be with this, the better. Go ahead and next slide. Remember,
And
less
Bruce,
is more. Question?
yeah, can I just interrupt you? Concerning the numbers for events, will you just share with them we're not looking for exact numbers, just
Yeah, it's we didn't expect you to sit there and tally mark everybody who walked in through the door, but if you can give us an estimate of, approximately, we have 50 people in the office and approximately 45 came to the event or something to that effect. So, with these award nominations, less is more. You don't have to, again, you really don't have to get out Chat GPT and ask it to write a long, flowery message about what you did. Just be concrete, be specific. Feel free to use those bullet points, and that will be just fine. Now, every year, beyond the local awards, which is what we've been talking about here today, there is also a national awards program called the CFC Hero Awards that is hosted by OPM. And so what we're going to do, you don't have to submit a separate nomination for that. We're going to take your nomination for our local awards. We will identify the 3 best ones per zone, and we will submit those to OPM. So we'll be taking your nomination and turning it into a national nomination as well. And if you go to the givecfc.org website, which is what Antonia is showing you right now, if you go to the About button at the top and then click on, can you show that? Yeah, thank you. Click on OPM CFC Awards. And you can check, click last year's award nominations or 2022 or 2021. And you can read up the write-ups that were submitted. This may not be all the details, but it's a summary of the nominations that we received that were then submitted to OPM. So you can kind of get an idea of who was recognized last year and what they did. And you might, as you read these, be like, oh yeah, I did that, or I did that, or I did something even different than this. But you'll notice that these aren't super long and that they're focused very much on numbers, results, and concrete details. That's what the committee is looking for when they see these write-ups. So we do recommend that you take a moment and go to the website and check out the national winners. That's the kind of information we're looking for. We will in January be sending you a link to a form that you can simply fill out, and Antonia is going to pull that up on screen and kind of walk you through that. But the nomination deadline will be January 23rd. So we'll start accepting nominations January 2nd, and then you have until the 23rd to submit them.
Thank you, Bruce.
Antonia, over to you.
Thank you. And so as Bruce said, we're going to email you a notification that we are now accepting nominations, and it will have the link to this form. And I'm just going to kind of review it really quickly so that way if there's any questions that you have on any of the fields that you'll be entering. So you'll select your zone first. There's a drop-down list for all of the zones listed. If you are not sure what your zone name is, reach out to your account manager, your area director. Some of them are self-explanatory. Alaska is the state of Alaska. Some of them, like Heart of the Midlands, are not quite self-explanatory because that covers multiple states. And so just in case you're not quite aware of what that is, just reach out to us and we can make sure by your city, state, we can identify where you're located. And then the next section is going to be the nominee information. So this is who is being nominated. So if you are the nominee, then this is where your information is going to go. Do not hesitate to submit a nomination for yourself. We want to hear everything that you're doing. Even though a lot of us are reaching out to you on a regular basis and we're having conversations with you, we may not know every single detail of all the things that you're doing. So we may have an overview of what it is that you're doing for your agency, but we may not know all of the specifics. So please nominate yourself. We want to know all of the things. We want to promote that to your local LFCC. We want to promote that to OPM. So that way your leadership as well hears all of the wonderful things that you've done. So this again is that nominee information. If you are nominating someone else on your team, then you would put their information in this field. And then there is co-nominee information. So if it's just you, you're the only contact sending out CFC and doing anything CFC for your office, it's going to only be you. If you're a co-nominee, you have a co-coordinator who manages this with you, you're going to check on that co-nominee information box and you're going to submit their information as well. There may be a team of you, there may be 3 or 4 of you. You can include each person's name here, separate it by a semicolon, along with each person's email address separated by a semicolon. So if you have more than just a specific person, include the additional nominees in here as well. And then you're going to select your CFC campaign role. Like I kind of mentioned earlier in our session today, you could be a campaign coordinator, a key worker, a loan executive, etc. So identify yourself based on one of these roles listed here. And then we want to know what kind of CFC experience you have, because that is really important when the awards committee is reviewing this. You may be a first-time coordinator who came in with all kinds of fresh ideas and kind of thought outside the box as maybe what would make sense from a donor's perspective because you haven't been doing CFC for so many years, and you have just done some amazing things. Or you could be somebody who's been doing CFC for 15, 20 years, and you've just been building upon it year after year, and that is what has been the success for your campaign and for your agency. So that is great information for us to utilize and review in this write-up for you. Then we need to know your department, the agency that you're with, and the office that you're located in. Again, pertinent information for this. After awards are completed, there will be certificates, there will be physical awards. And so if you do win one of the physical awards, we need to be able to make sure that we get that mailed out to you. So please provide the shipping address of where that should be shipped to. So if you are a teleworker and you want that to come to your home, that's the address that we need to receive. If you are, of course, in office, please provide your office address. And back up here, when I come back, I'm going to come right back up here to the nominee information. If you are a winner, your certificate, your award, this is going to be the name that will appear on that award. So make sure that you're not giving, if you don't want your nickname on the award or the certificate, make sure you give us the name that you want on that certificate. Okay, let me go right back down here. As I mentioned earlier, the number of employees, that is one piece of information. In some cases, we have it already because we collected it from you when you first informed us that, yes, I'm the coordinator. Here's my demographic information for my agency. But there are a lot of agencies that we do not have that information for. So we do have it as required information for you to provide in the nomination. So please provide that information. Again, it does not have to be exact. If you don't know the exact number, if you give us the estimate, the rounded off figure of the number of employees, that will suffice as well. Now, if you are nominating someone else, the nominator information, that would be where you would enter your info. We want to be able to notify you, yes, we have received your nomination. This, or yes, this person that you nominated is a winner, and we want to make sure that you're kept in the loop on all of this information as well. And then now we're going to get into the actual write-up. All of the information that has been done that will be reviewed by the awards committee to determine who the winners are. So that's the campaign achievements. So this first section is going to be the list of the significant achievements results. This is that quantitative and comparative data. These are the numbers. This is where you're talking about the goals and how you met or exceeded the goal, the pledge totals raised in comparison to prior years, donor count, all of those, that type of information, the number of events hosted, number of charities that visited your agency, that kind of information. The next section is describe what you did to engage your CFC team or agency leadership. So this is an actual description of the work that was being done, what types of events you held, what types of, how you, what things that you did outside of the norm. Again, descriptive information here. This next section is describe what you did to promote the CFC. So how did you market the campaign? Did you have a Teams page? Did you, post on social media? Maybe you had bulletin boards or military installations. They have signage, various ways that you went about promoting the campaign for your agency. The next section is any challenges or obstacles that you had to overcome. So anything that you had that you found challenging and how you went about overcoming those challenges, please put that information here. And then finally, anything that maybe didn't fit within any of those other categories that you just feel like these are additional details, I want to provide this, that goes in that final category there. And then this last thing is for uploads. So we want to see some of the stuff that you did. Images and things like that go a long way for these awards committees to, they can read the description of everything that you stated, but once they see some photos or they see flyers that you promoted or various things like that, they're like, oh, this is really cool. I really like that. That makes sense. I see exactly what they did here. So uploading any of that additional information that you have, this is going to, of course, be icing on the cake for your nomination. Outside of that, we are also requesting you to provide us with a profile picture of either yourself, an individual photo of yourself, or if you have a CFC team, maybe a group photo of your team. And then there will also be a consent form. There is an OPM, the form 5002, that is a consent form to be able to publish your image and or your name within these awards profiles. So whether it goes onto the website, on social media, etc., we would need to have that consent form and of course a photo of the nominee. So this is what that form looks like. I hope it seems pretty self-explanatory, but again, if there are any questions that you have as you're going through and completing this, again, please feel free to reach out to any one of us, your account managers, etc. We are all here to help you. We hope to receive many, many of these where we are like spending days going through them because we want to be able to recognize each and every one of you. And so please take the time to go through and, share all of the great things that you all are doing, your teammates are doing to help promote the campaign. Do we have any questions?
Just raise your hand if you have a question and we can unmute you, or you could type it in the chat.
All right, well, that's all we have for you today. We thank you all so much for attending. We did record this session. We do have the PowerPoint available for you all, but when we send out the email communication to you, letting you know that the nominations are, that we are starting to receive those nominations, we will again include with that the recording for this session, along with the PDF of the PowerPoint, and then, of course, the link for the form for you all to nominate yourselves or your key workers, your team. Okay? All right. Well, thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and we look forward to starting to review these nominations in January.